Well, hello and welcome to our Accelerated Growth Program. This is Nahid, and this is our fourth class of our Accelerated Growth Program. Right now, you should be in step 2, which is writing your reflections and your insights from your trigger log. And that's what this looks like, reflection paragraph number 1. But for you, it might not be just a paragraph. It might be a journal. It might be a list of bullets. It doesn't really have to be anything specific. The purpose of step 2 is for you to learn what you can from your trigger log and establish that for yourself so you don't lose the learning. The thing about deep work is because we're pulling things up from our subconscious, things we don't think about a lot and are usually hidden in our heads. We might get a glimpse of them from now and then, but if we just get a glimpse, we'll feel that insight that feels like an aha moment, but then it'll only last for a little while before that insight slips into the background again. And our goal in writing our thoughts and our insights down is to cement them a little bit into our consciousness. So that's why you're writing your reflection paragraph. But what you're also doing is you're trying to identify very specifically an unmet need to work on and carry into the next phase of the program. We talked about needs last time, and we talked about how they would show up in this column of your trigger log, in the column that says, what did I most need in the moment? Now, what you're going to notice in this column is that there are a lot of different words here, and it might not be really obvious how it shows up as a pattern of unmet needs. In my example here, you'll notice that I have calm and confidence and a sense of capability. I have more phrases here than actual words, and I have different words here. What I ended up choosing to carry through is I think, confidence and capability, but I really ended up focusing on capability as one need. The thing to know is that you're going to have more than one need show up in your column, and you're also going to have things that are a little bit confusing that don't seem like needs. And what I'm going to do today is go through some different exercises that you can do to take the information that's in this column and use it to figure out what an unmet need would be that you could work on. The thing to keep in mind is that you and everybody has probably several unmet needs, and it doesn't matter so much if you pick the right one. If you pick any one of your unmet needs and carry it through the rest of the program, you're going to make progress on your growth. And you can always go back through the process again with a different need. So once you get this process down, you'll probably take yourself through it several times, either in the program with support or on your own once you get a hang of it. So it doesn't matter what need that you carry on to the next phase, but what does matter is that you choose one need. So I don't want you trying to go through the rest of the program with 5 different ideas of what the unmet need is. Your goal now in this class is to hone in to one thing that you need, that you know is an unmet need of yours, that you're going to work on now getting met. So how might you do that? Well, the first thing to do is to look at the strength of your emotions. And if you've got some numbers that are really high, like 8s, 9s, and 10s, those are probably the most important triggers, the ones that are pointing to your most obvious unmet needs. The lower numbers are lower importance because they don't bother you as much. So if you have a bunch of different words and there are different words in your 8s and 9s than in your 4s and 5s and 3s, then I would focus on what's in the 8s and 9s. But in some cases, your unmet need, what you needed in the moment, doesn't seem like anything related to your own safety or your own love and belonging or your self-esteem. At least it doesn't seem directly related to it. It might seem like you need somebody else to do something, right? So I need that person to respect me, or I need that person to do something, or I need to do something. I've had people fill out trigger logs, and when they answer this column, what did I need most in the moment, they immediately interpret it as what did I need to do in the moment, and they start writing this list of to-dos. So what you needed in the moment is not something that you need to do, and it's not something that you need someone else to do. It's what you're missing. What is the emotion that you need? So if you need someone to respect you, you need to feel respected. So it's what you need to feel in the moment. If you needed someone to shut up, you need to stop feeling attacked. You need to feel maybe whatever the opposite of feeling attacked is, right? So maybe when we feel attacked, we feel defensive, we don't feel accepted, we feel judged. So what we need is to feel accepted. So there's a little bit of mental work that you have to go through to get to that. And in order to do that, I have this exercise called the needs chain. The needs chain is a way that you can continue to ask yourself questions to help you decide what the real need is. And essentially what you do is you take whatever your mind first told you that you needed when you asked yourself the question, what did I need in the moment? And then you ask yourself, well, what will that get me? Well, what will that get me? And whatever the answer is, you keep asking until you get something that sounds like a feeling, sounds like something that you need to feel whole. So in this example, I have, what did I most need? I needed him to shut up. And what would have that given me? Well, that would have given me some space. This guy was just coming at me. Well, and what would that get me? Well, if he would shut up and give me some space, I wouldn't have felt so attacked and disrespected. Okay, so if he shuts up and if he gives you some space and you don't feel so attacked and disrespected, what would you get from that? Well, then I would feel more powerful. I need to feel empowered. Now, you might have a different answer that comes up. You have to look inside yourself to see what your answer is. A lot of times people use the word respect because it's the first word that comes to our mind. But respect usually is the word we use on top of many different needs and a very wide variety of needs. So you feel disrespected when you feel unheard. You feel disrespected when you feel unloved. You feel disrespected anytime you feel like a need is threatened. Let's do one more needs chain so you can get another feel for this. This is for people who are compulsive eaters. This was one of my big ones. When I started doing these trigger logs, one of the things that I noticed is that sometimes during the day, I would just go down and grab a handful of cookies if I happened to have them in the cupboard. And I already knew that that was probably a trigger, or some kind of a reaction, because it was compulsive behavior. It was behavior that logically I didn't think mattered, I didn't think I should do, but in the moment nothing was going to stop me from getting those cookies. So I realized that when I eat cookies, I'm being triggered, and my reaction wasn't a reaction of a surge of anxiety or a surge of fear, but it was a reaction of blocking any emotion that I could possibly feel and just going and getting that thing, which in this case was cookies. So if I went through the process of what is the chain of needs when I needed cookies, it will look something like this. What did I most need in the moment? I needed cookies. And what would that get me? Well, it would get me a break. It would get me a way to enjoy myself. Well, and what would that get me? Well, a break would get me away from the pressure, kind of like an escape. And what would that get me? Well, it would protect me from feeling so horrible about being behind. Now, notice from my triggers before, I would start feeling really bad about myself when I started feeling like I wasn't getting things done. And here I see another reflection. I start feeling horrible about being behind, and I want to escape, and I feel pressured, so I want to go enjoy myself and have cookies. All right, so if I didn't feel so horrible about being behind, what would that get me? It would make me feel okay about myself. It would help me feel accepted as I am. So with this needs chain, I get to an unmet need of acceptance. Now, to take the pressure off you, you don't need to get it right. It doesn't matter if you get something wrong or if you get something right, because anything you work on will get you progressing, and that's the important thing. Another thing to notice in your log that could give you clues here are your thoughts. So sometimes if you pay attention to the running dialogue in your head when you're in the midst of these reactions, it will give you a clue. So if you look at my negative Self-talk. What if it doesn't go well? That would be embarrassing, and the customer would get mad at me and fire me or make my client look bad. So there's some hints there that I'm judging myself. There's some hints there that I'm afraid of being booted out of the tribe, that I'm afraid of rejection here. I don't understand why I want and need this because I'm not hungry, but I feel like nothing's going to stop me from getting dessert. Now, that doesn't give me as much of a hint, but it does make it really obvious that there is, that this is a reaction, that going after food is an actual reaction because I wasn't feeling any strong emotion, which helped me then fill out the emotion. And the only emotion I could even get to was just a little flash of shame because then I have this behavior that blocks it out. I think there's a lot of people that use escapes to block out emotions that feel bad. So they might drink, anything that you're addicted to, drinking, pills, cigarettes, those kinds of things that you are, kind of just driven to do even though you know they're not good for you. Those things could be trying to block off your feeling of emotion, but sometimes you can get more hints of it in your thoughts. Okay, so as you're working on reflection paragraph number 1, those are some more clues that you can use to identify your needs. Now, this is a time, and in this program, I believe that you can reach out to me and email me your trigger log, and I would be happy to take a look at it for you and give you my comments. Or if you're working with a mentor, your mentor would be happy to look at your trigger log and get some comments. Or if you're going to take a class, if you're in one of the accelerated growth classes, the whole class probably won't be able to analyze your trigger log for you, but that's a great place to ask questions and talk a little bit about what you're noticing, and we can process that in the class and give you some more insights. But your goal right now, as you continue to reflect, is to pull out one unmet need that you want to work on. So your goal between now and the next class is to identify a need, and then we're going to move to your empowerment log.